Hi, I'm Ashley from the CIE technical team, and today we're going to talk about Akuvox setup and support. So today we're going to be setting up a community on the Akuvox Cloud. So what is a community? So a community is a large household. It could also be office, or more importantly and commonly, it's multi-dwelling, so apartments or multiple blocks of apartments. Okay, so I'm logged into the installer portal using my installer cloud account. And on the dashboard here, I've got add community site. So we'll just add a community site here on the bottom. What this will do will ask me for more details. So community name. So my community name, I'll just use an example. It also asks me for a community address. This address is showed sometimes on the multi-tenant door phones like an X912 and an X915. And also it's used on the indoor monitors for weather location. So make this as accurate as possible. On the bottom here, you've also got the time zone. Just make sure this is set to London GMT. And then you've got a date format. So just make sure this is day, month, year, which is more common in Europe. What you've also got then is time format. So 24-hour time, 12-hour time. And then you've also got a feature plan, so basic or premium. You can read the instructions here and this will show you the difference between basic and premium. Basic essentially means that you need an indoor monitor per apartment, whereas premium, you don't require an indoor monitor per apartment. We have an indoor monitor, so we'll continue to click basic. On the bottom here, you've got landline service. If we want this enabled, then we'll click yes, otherwise click no. On the bottom here, we're going to click submit, but if you are using video storage or Akubela services, then you want to click next and enable these services. Okay, now we've clicked submit, you can see that we've got the Akuvox example site. On here, we can click the more arrow, which then lets us drill into the site itself. So a little bit of an explanation about this. So the community tab is just an overview. So you've got residents, which is an overview of all residents, which we don't have at the moment. An overview of intercom devices, an overview of any smart locks, and also an overview of third-party devices for third-party integration. Public area is essentially the most public intercom. So if you have 3 blocks of accommodation and you have an intercom that needs to call all 3 blocks, you would put this in public area. Otherwise, we want to add a building. Again, this building could literally be house, it could be a gated community, or it could be block A, B, C. You name this appropriately to make sense to you. For us, we're just going to use this as a house. So we'll click house. Once the building's been added, we can click into it, and then we get more options on the top here. We've got APT, which is apartments, and then you've also got intercom devices. We're going to click on intercom devices and add our intercom. So here we'll add our intercom device by clicking on the new button. Here you'll see it's selected device type automatically as multi-tenant door phone. Let's keep it as this. We'll add the MAC address of the device, and it's asking for the network group. So if you're using multiple networks and they can't all talk to each other, here you can set different network groups. Otherwise, just keep everything as network 1 and it will all communicate through IP. You've also got contact display settings. In the UK, this isn't commonly used. We'll just use only apartment numbers. This means that it will show apartment 1, apartment 2, or the household name that you've created. What we want to do is also create a device name. If it's on a block, you'll want to use main entrance. Otherwise, we're just going to use this as main gate. Allow users to monitor the device. So this is used if you want to disable users from being able to monitor the device from the indoor monitors or the app. This is commonly used in social housing or student accommodation. But let's just keep this enabled. Then on the intercom, we're going to be using one of the relays. So we'll change the relay 1 to main gate. However, if you're using more relays, you want to add the relay on the bottom and also add security relay if you're using an SRO1. Okay, now let's click submit. If you're using any other access controller devices like the AO1, AO2, AO3, AO8, then we could click new here and then add the device type as an access control unit. We're not, so we'll just click off of this and we'll click into the apartment. Okay, so let's create the apartment. So clicking new here gives us the ability to add a new apartment. If you're in multi-dwelling, you can assign a floor to the apartment, or you can just leave it as blank. By default, you always have to put an apartment number. So if you're using a gated community, you could just put a house number, or if you don't even have a house number, just numerically add them up, so 1 to 5, for example. The APT name is what's displayed on the directory of the intercom. So just make sure this is something user-friendly, for example, main house. Web relay is if you're using additional relays. This can be set to 0 as default. Contact preference is typically always left as default, which is group call. Call type, so you want to make sure that this is set to apps and indoor monitors. But if you wanted all the indoor monitors to call first with the SmartPlus as backup, you can change this. Probably one of the most important settings in this menu is the SIP or IP call. This is basically saying, are the indoor monitors on the same network as the intercom on the outside? If it is, you can leave this as IP call, but otherwise use SIP call. Again, if you're using the E18 LTE or the R20 LTE, you'll want to make sure this is set to SIP call. Okay, now it's asking for an indoor MAC address because we're on basic mode. If you're on premium mode, this option wouldn't be displaying right now, but ours is, so we'll add the indoor monitor MAC address here. We've also got a tick box for the arming function. The indoor monitors have an arming function for home, away, and night mode. This means if you're using the inputs on the back for house security. Most of the time, people don't use this, so you can keep this as unticked. The network group, again, is if you need to assign this as a different network group. Device name on the bottom here can just be the location of the indoor monitor. So this will be hallway in our case. And then you've got the options on the bottom as relay 1, relay 2. The most common mistake here is these relay options on the bottom. So relay 1 and relay 2. These aren't the intercom relays. These are actually the indoor monitor relays and not commonly used in the UK. So you can keep these as disabled. On the bottom here, you can also add a resident. So what you want to do is add the first name and last name as the resident, and then also an email address. By putting the email address in, they'll have an invite to the SmartPlus application. Once you click submit, that will then add the apartment with the indoor monitor. What you want to make sure now is that the indoor monitors and intercom have been rebooted at least once. This means that when you look at the devices on the cloud, they'll turn from grey to green. If the devices don't turn from grey to green, please check your network settings and you have internet connectivity, and also make sure you have rebooted the devices. If they still don't turn green, then make sure you contact technical support to help you assist troubleshooting. As easy as that. Just remember, we've also got the Akuvox Support Hub online. If you've got any further questions, comment below, or maybe give us a video idea for next time.